This episode of Brains on Games is a debating game about superheroes. Welcome to Brains on Games. I'm Dr. Brian McDonald, and this episode, like I said, we're going to talk about a debating game that's about superheroes. This is a game that I like because it's a lot of fun to just come up with some crazy ideas, and we're going to talk about that towards the end of this episode. But a little while ago, the folks over at Half Monster Games in Australia sent me a copy of Trust Me, I'm a Superhero. This is a game that you can play with between 3 and 8 players, so it's really kind of a party game. You can play it with kids age 8 and up, and one game takes only about 15 minutes, so it's pretty quick to go through these things. Let's take a look at Trust Me, I'm a Superhero. I've lined up some cards over here. I'm going to tell you what that's all about, but this is a game where you are making the case that you're the best superhero for a certain job. The conceit of this game, the theme, is that all the good superheroes have gone away on some much more important mission, so now citizens are calling the Super League, but all they have left are second stringers, and that's what the players are in this game. But they have to convince everyone that they're the best hero for the job. You've got a deck of cards like this, the Call for Help deck. That's the first thing that's really important about this game, because one player is going to be the citizen who's really going to judge and choose who is the best superhero for whatever the emergency is. The citizen chooses 3 of these cards, and then they pick the one that they want to use as their call for help that round, but they don't reveal it yet. Each of the other players is going to have a hand of 10 cards. 5 of those cards are supers. Those are the ones in the top row here. They say super at the bottom. I'm not sure how clearly you can read it on my new camera, but they say super down here in the fine print. But there are words like animal or unlimited or enthusiastic or intercontinental ballistic or prehensile. So there's not very much reading in the game, but some of the vocabulary for the superpowers is pretty advanced. So maybe an 8 or a 9 or a 10-year-old can learn what prehensile means. You might be able to tell a little bit from the picture, but it's a good vocabulary game, maybe a little bit for that. On the bottom, you see that there's another deck as well that each player is going to have 5 cards from. That's the power deck. So you've got super and power. Sometimes you might create your superhero name based on the super and the power that you choose when you put those things together, or you might choose a different name, and that's just the ability that you're going to use in that round of the game. Before the citizen reveals the call for help, each player has to look through their hand and choose the super and the power that they're going to use that round, and that they're going to argue is going to be the very best for the job. But they don't know what the job is yet because the citizen hasn't revealed which card they chose. The call for help cards look like this. They all look the same. They have a sad person on it with the word balloon over the top, and the citizen would read whichever one out of the 3 they chose to play that round. So this one says, help, someone left your superhero league a bad review online. Another one says, help, my cat is stuck in a tree. And the third one I chose says, help, it turns out sliced bread wasn't the best thing. We've all been poisoned by bread. And then each of the players who's chosen a power would have to make their case. And that's the next round of the game. So the first thing that happens is the citizen draws 3 cards and chooses their call for help, but doesn't reveal it yet. Each of the other players, not the citizen, but each of the other players, the superhero players, chooses the super and the power that they're going to play that round. The citizen then reveals the call for help. The next part of the turn is, in the rules it actually calls it heated debate and heckling, which is the period where you are going to try, each player in turn is going to try to convince the citizen that they're the best one for the job and that everyone else's power is terrible and couldn't possibly work. Now, the first time I played this game was with the designer, so I was playing with a bunch of very funny Australians, and the one I remember actually was this one that I drew. My cat is stuck in a tree, and I think this was the only round that I won, which was where I played Animal Breath. And so my power was animal breath. That was my superhero name. And I thought that if my breath smelled like cat food, that would attract the cat from the tree. And we went on and on about it, and everyone was arguing. I think that one of the other players had unlimited, I think I pulled that one too, unlimited belts. And maybe that would allow him to climb the tree. I can't remember what his argument was, but I remember that was the round that I won. I didn't win any of the other ones because those other guys were a lot funnier than I was. The final part of the turn is the one where the citizen chooses which superhero is going to do the job. That superhero gets the citizen card, and the first player who earns 3 of those wins the game. So you're just going around the circle and hopefully spreading the wins around a little bit. But the game might end quickly if you've got one really funny player out of the bunch, because it does tend to be the funniest idea, maybe the most creative idea sometimes. But if one of the players can make everyone else laugh, that's usually the power that's going to win that round. Like I said, there's a little bit of vocabulary and some complicated words for the kids to read, but they might be motivated to read them because they are superpowers, and there's not a lot of reading in the game. In fact, the rules are just one two-sided card, exactly the same size as these other ones. So it takes only a minute or two to learn how to play, but you really are thinking on your feet because you're choosing a power before you know how you're going to use that power, and then you have to quickly think of a way to use it while you're arguing with everyone else about why you're the best. There's a verbal expression component to the game because you're explaining your ideas in ways that are going to be convincing. There are only so many games with a debate component involved, and certainly this involves debating, but it's kind of a fun way to learn how to do those debates. And if you're a parent who's playing with a younger group or a group of teenagers, you maybe can spread the wealth around a little bit in terms of handing out the awards to the superheroes who are saving the day. And that, in a nutshell, is Trust Me, I'm a Superhero. A very quick game to learn and a quick game to play that involves debating skills and verbal expression and creativity and thinking on your feet, along with a healthy dose of humor. Thanks again to Half Monster Games for sending this game my way. If you have any questions about this game or suggestions for the show, you can leave them in the comments under this video, or you can email me at brian@brainsongames.ca. brainsongames.ca is the website. That's where future episodes will go, and the previous episodes are up there already. Brains on Games is the Twitter handle and the Facebook page and the Instagram feed, so we're all over the place. And if you enjoyed this video and you want to be notified of future ones, you can head on over to YouTube and click that subscribe button. Thanks for joining me, and hopefully I'll see you next time.